to another episode of Business Spotlight. I am Teresa Strong Myrick with Action Coach Tampa Bay. And today we have Gary Grooms with us, and he's going to give us a little information about his business, how long he's been around. And we're going to go from there. So Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you got my name right. It's Gary Grooms, and I am currently I'm the CEO for a company called Mesh Fabrication that's in St. Petersburg, Florida, specifically in the Joe's Creek Industrial Park. And I've been with the company for about 13 years. I came on board after I had hired Mesh to do the interior design and build out of a restaurant space that I was developing in downtown St. Pete. And then I offered to help the guy that was the owner of the company at the time. And since that time, we are now 50-50 partners in the business. And what we do now is we have about 50 people that work for us in a 31,000 square foot building, and we build very high-end custom millwork, mostly for the hospitality industry. So think of 5-star hotels and restaurants. The majority of our work is in Manhattan and in South Florida, between West Palm and Miami.
Oh my! So what brought you to the St. Pete area?
I moved here in 2005. I had been in Atlanta for the 20 years before that, and my first career was in restaurants, and that's how I ended up going from California to Denver, and then to Atlanta. And then my middle career is I taught martial arts for a living for about 20 years, and I was still doing working in the martial arts industry when I worked on doing this restaurant space downtown, and that kind of led to doing this. So what got me to Tampa Bay was I just realized I could, so to speak. I was living in Atlanta and had schools there, but once I no longer had day-to-day responsibility, I was like, well, I can come up and visit from time to time and live where I wanted. So I moved into St. Pete.
Absolutely. Yes. Nothing wrong with moving to paradise. I love it. So tell me, what interested you into Mesh specifically? Because I went on the website. You guys have some very cool ideas and very innovative projects. So tell us a little bit about that.
How all that happened was, when I was doing this restaurant space that, I don't know how familiar you are with downtown, but the space that used to be Z Grill and is now Renzo's.
Yes.
I ended up buying that commercial condo and hired local architect Tim Clemens to do the architecture to build a restaurant. And he suggested that I hire Mesh and the guy that was the owner of Mesh, Jovica Milic, to help with the interior design and to build the millwork. And so that's how we met. And through that process, I realized that he was a very talented designer and also knew how things got built, but he definitely needed some business help. And that's kind of how I ended up helping the restaurant out, because I offered to help them out. And then there was the same thing with this. I was going to do a short-term business consulting deal to help them get some policies and procedures and get organized.
Nice.
And 13 years later, it's more of a permanent thing. Like I said, I'm a half owner, and I'm working towards retirement now.
Gotcha. Awesome. So what do you see as the future of the company?
We have developed a very exclusive luxury brand. We only bid about 5% of what we're asked to bid. The overwhelming majority of times when somebody says, hey, would you look at this project? We say no. Most of that's because of their lower end kind of things, standard plastic laminate, millwork kind of things. And it's not that we can't do that, but we're not built for that. We're built for these high-end, custom, complicated things. And that's the part that we want to hold on to. And we can outsource some of the regular things, as I would call it. And we do that. Like, we don't do a lot of our own metal work. We don't do glass, but we manage that process for these luxury build outs. So it's really just a matter of continuing to build the brand and the overall volume of what we do by using the panache of what we do to maybe sell some more standardized things like trim packages and door packages and
Gotcha.
room packages for a fancy hotel. So we'll do a 5-star hotel, but we're not doing the rooms. We're just doing the things you see when you come in the door.
Gotcha. Understood. I love that. So tell me, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated from day to day?
I've always been good at that. I started working. I was 14 as a caddy, and I learned how to caddy on a golf course. And then I said, well, I'm going to be the best caddy at this golf course, which is a famous course up in Rochester. And I did that, and I was the best caddy, for a couple of years. And then I got my first, we'll call real job, working for McDonald's. And I was, driven there. So I just have always had this willingness to do what it takes to do the best I possibly can. And at this age, it's really what keeps me going is making sure that my legacy at the company is not necessarily just that we're bigger and better and more organized, but what that does for the people, because the important people at Mesh, not me. Sometimes people say that to me, they go, "Oh, you're the CEO, you're the most important guy." And I go, "No, I'm not even close. Most important person in the building are the people that down there that build the stuff. The people that nobody really cares about the work I do. They care about the quality of the product that we build. And I don't build it."
Absolutely. So I'm gonna ask you this question because I hear it coming up a lot with business owners who are because you don't compete on price, you compete on quality. Tell me what the difference is in that for you and how you're able to continue to get clients.
You made a good observation. We do not at all compete on price. And if somebody wants a lot of cheap millwork, that's easy to find. And there's a lot of competition in that world. And if you always just try and be the cheapest thing, you eventually end up, it's a race to the bottom, in my opinion, number one. But two, you're now competing with the whole world. You now have people going, well, I can get this stuff out of China or Vietnam or something. And so we tried to just do higher quality work. So, sometimes somebody comes on board and they go, what are your standards like? And we go, well, if you look at it and go, I'm not sure, then it's not good enough. You can't have any doubt in your mind that it's not good enough. And really what we've done is we've established a reputation that certain designers will specify us and say, we really want Mesh to do this. There's several developers that only use us for some hotel brands and some other, big, well-known developers. So we have a large network of people that may not use us for all their work because we couldn't begin to handle it. They use us for the work that they go, we need Mesh for this because it's high end or it's complicated, whatever it may be. So, like I said, we turned down most of the work that we're asked to do. I could sell way more work than we could possibly handle.
Awesome. I think that's so because we're talking to other business owners, and I think that's so good for them to hear that it's okay to niche down to a specific thing and be very extremely good and competitive in that and not try to do all the things. So that is very good for them here. So I'm glad you shared that.
No, you can't do that I realize that when I have these high-end craftsmen that are well paid, that can build anything. They're wizards.
Yes.
And you can't ask them one day to build this perfect thing that challenges what they like. And then the next day say, I need you to build a whole bunch of cheap millwork and you got to knock it out fast. And I need you to have much lower standards. There's no way to do that.
Great point.
That's got to be a whole different shop,
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. Well, Gary, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that you want to share just to encourage other business owners? Because you got into businesses and grew them and shored up the spots where they were kind of weak. So is there any advice you would give?
It's funny you say that because I have done so many different businesses over the years, so many different types of businesses. And I always tell someone that's thinking about doing a business, like a story, I had a student that was an electrician and he was a commercial electrician, and he was thinking about going out on his own. And he was really nervous about doing it. And I go, David, all you have to do is the bare minimum, and you'll be way better than everybody else. And because I said, all you have to do is answer the phone calls, answer the emails, and do what you say you're going to do. Show up on the time you say you're going to do it. Do it for the price you say you do it. Stand behind your work. I said, everything I just said is the absolute bare minimum, yet none of your competition is doing that. And so I know it sounds a little funny. It's like, just do the things that you should, of course, be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because so many people are not doing that. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. The amount of, that if I hire somebody that comes to the house to do something, if they show up on time and do the job right for the price they quoted, I'm going, wow, that's amazing. And I'm thinking they did not do a single extra thing. There was no extra. They didn't do any magic. They just did what they said they were going to do. And and if you have staff, that's the hardest thing. You got learning how to manage people is not something that comes out of a book. You've got to care, and you've got to put them first.
Absolutely. And set them up to win.
Set them up to win. Give them the tools and let them go fly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for your time. It has been a pleasure. I know that our listeners and the folks who are watching are going to get so much value out of this.
All righty. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.